What a beautiful game. Nice trees in the mountains, deep valleys, beautiful sky. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Well, hello everyone. My name is Kist, and welcome back to another episode of Trackling 101. Today, we're gonna head to the Smelter. Let's get started. And you already know, before we even get building, we visit Paint 3D. I wanted to walk through with you the route I will be taking to the Smelter. More specifically, what I believe to be the intended route to get to the Smelter. Now, a lot of times you see people build straight across and down, or they might do some crazy thing. They might go all the way across and cut in front of the waterfall and go around. But no, I strongly disagree with that. There have been times, my most recent save, I did this, where I just went across, hugged here, in fact did a helix into the Smelter. I'll put a picture of that to show you. Now, what is the actual intended route? Without going into too much details about grades and all this, the basic route is as follows. And that's it. Now, from here, it needs to split off 3 ways. Down here, like so. Over this way to head to the iron mine. And lastly, one to head to the coal mine. Now, the beautiful thing about taking this left side of the valley is that we immediately eliminate the need for any extra track. We're able to take all the intended routes designed in the game. If you didn't know, if you're new to the game, whoever created the map put cutouts, some kind of like visible way that you need to build track in it, what we call the intended routes. And by going over to this side here, we are going to be able to follow all the intended routes that was given to us. However, I want to challenge myself and build a double mainline the entire way, at least until we need to switch and break off. So hold on tight. We're only going to be building over here. We're not going to build, well, we'll probably build down into the Smelter, but we're not going to build any industries today. We're just going to build our route. So let's just jump in and start building. So I'm over back by the sawmill, just where we ended with the time-lapse video. And I wanted to start here because I think to build a double mainline, I need to start here. Basically, as soon as you cross this gorge right here where the bridge is already, we're going to need to start a grade down. And it's kind of annoying to place switches on grades. And so I think while we're level, it would be better to put the switch here. So that is exactly what I am going to do. I'm just going to delete this. And to make it easier for me when running trains, I'm going to put 2 switches on either side, just so I can kind of maybe distinguish which one's which. Now, if you haven't seen, or if you have seen my little double mainline video, when it comes to mainlines, I just love this method. This one's my favorite to use. It goes like this. So you place a crossover from the turnout. You then take another switch, and by pressing, for me, Q or E, or whatever the case might be for you, the select link point, I'm going to change the link so I get the little turnout here. Now I'm going to turn the switch so it's better suited. And if I do it from right here, I can get a link, but sometimes it won't work. It will be like, well, why can't I connect it? Remember, if you crouch and kind of extend it past, you'll be able to connect a link. So already, ta-da, we have a kind of our spacing for a double mainline. Now immediately from here, I'm going to place a stone wall. Not at 10%. We have our switch here. We placed a piece. If you do not want it to be a J shape, I cannot speak. So we have a crossover, our switch. From here, place another crossover, and then place your track. So I'll do, for simplicity's sake, 5 meters. Actually, we'll do 6. It's not gonna be the end of the world. So now I can delete the switch, the crossovers, take a piece of track, and then connect it into here. This way, it will be a little bit more even and not as sharp. So now the next step is just lining it up to here. I think it'd be easier if I delete the bridge. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm trying to. It might be better to do it from this side, but now you can't see it. Alright, 26.1. Aw, it's a little under, but I'm not too worried about it. For all, to make it simple, it's even. Now here is actually kind of easy. We're just gonna see if we can line up the stone wall textures. There we go. It's a little weird, but now everything should be even, and we have our double mainline spacing so far. Now, the fun part, actually building it out. Getting the spacing's the easy part, I think. So after you do that, it's kind of simple process of just extending out. The hard part are curves and grades. Curves and grades. I think I did 32 on that last one. I think. Whew, okay. Sometimes you gotta be careful when placing, I'm gonna say looking at another spline or another piece of track when building another one, because sometimes it'll link it'll link to it. I don't know if I can do it here. If I do something like, obviously I do that, but sometimes it does it. Okay, so it's not gonna do it now, which I'm kind of happy about, but just be careful. So from here, it's a good idea to start the grade, and I'm just trying to make it symmetrical, so we're going to do 6 meters on this side and then 6 meters on the other side. Now remember, when it comes to building grades, you have to make a little transition piece from level ground. You can't just build a grade because the angles will be messed up. And so that's what I just did here. A short little piece that starts heading down at negative 0.5%. And before I actually begin the curve, I'm going to come back here and replace this bridge so the railing is on the correct side. Okay? You can just freehand this one. Ta-da! Now we have a nice little bridge. 2 tracks, nice in color, and now we have the start of our grade. Now, if you know anything about maybe physics or a little bit of math, a little bit of engineering as well, maybe not all 3 necessarily, but at least one subject, you'll know that the inside of a curve, or if there's 2 curves, the inside of the curve is shorter. It travels less distance. So whenever it comes to building a curve, you should build the inside track first, because that will dictate your spacings. Grade. I think we'll do -1 for me. So remember, to keep the centricity of a curve, we need to build in shorter segments. And I'm going to go kind of big here and do some larger segments just to see if I can cover as much ground. Now when it comes to like this big of a curve, I don't think we need to do any kind of transitions. It's okay to go straight into it. If it's anything less than 100, I would suggest building a transition into the curve. Now before I do anything else, let's see where this heads out to. It may be a little tight, but we're gonna try it, see if that works. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to build a flat piece of track. I'm gonna go 20 meters out, and the reason I'm doing this is so I can place my switch. Hold up. FutureKist here. Just wanted to mention something real quickly before continuing. The reason I'm actually placing a switch and this like little, I'm gonna say transition piece to level ground, is because it's gonna help get the grade out. I'm gonna say, if I try placing the other piece of track now or connect it to my other switch when I build it, it's gonna be messed up. The actual outside curve is gonna be a slightly different grade than what I need it to be. And so this is just my little process of transitioning to level ground, getting our spacing side to side, and then we're gonna place another piece of track going up at the same grade, and you'll see this all. I just wanted to real quickly explain it and walk through what's happening. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm just gonna delete this and then delete the piece I just placed to show you. If I place a switch, it immediately levels out. I don't know how well you can see it, but there is a slight, very slight upward angle to the left. And if I were to place my crossover or my spacing here, it would be messed up. So what I first need to do is level out the track. And I'm gonna go 18 this time, not 20. Now what we need to do from here is we need to build the spacing using the crossovers. Hold on, there we go. Sometimes if a switch doesn't want to connect, it's because the angle of it is weird. So when in doubt, just try turning your switch to see if it will link. Now from here, still at 0 degrees, I'm going to go 22.2 meters out. If I wanted to make a piece of track level with this switch, it is exactly 22.2 meters out. Now I said, I believe 18. So I'm going to go 18 meters out exactly. And that should be it's nice in line. So from here, what I can do is I can freehand place a curve. Let's see what happens. Oh, would you look at that? Nice and parallel. So the last thing I'm going to do to really ensure it's parallel, I'm going to place that switch back, and then I'm going to get rid of this curve here. Now, why? It was just fine, right? Yes, but also no. And well, the reason I say that is because remember that there is some kind of like discrepancy between circle mode and freehanding it. So it was actually the left track, the one we placed first, was indeed more circular. And so to really ensure they're parallel, you just have to replace both the splines. And that's what I just did here. So now we have two completely parallel curves and they are on a grade. So from here, what we're going to do, now that we have both the curves in place, we're just going to keep going down. And with straighter pieces, you can do big segments. I personally do like 100-ish, somewhere around there. Okay, so this is what I was a little concerned about, to make sure this rail wouldn't clip this mountain any manner, and I think we're okay. Just a little short, but relatively the same. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for a second. Remember that what our plan is, we're actually going to curve to the left. And the reason to do that, at least in my opinion, is because right here, there's a flat spot. And it is higher than where you come out in the gorge. So I'm going to stop building from the sawmill and start building over here. Does it matter where exactly? No, not really. But I just try to get some good angle, I think. And for me, I changed my keybinds. I'm using my left and right arrow keys to adjust the alignment. So right now it's at 80 degrees, now it's at 79, 80, 81. And so I'm just changing the angle to see where I like it. I don't mind there, but I think it's a little too steep to the right, so I'm going to make it shallower to the left. 80 is fine. 80 is fine. I think this would do. I'm just going to build a piece out. Because I can always curve it back to the left a little bit. I want to see where this comes out, though. Yeah, I like that. I don't think we need to curve it back at all now. But we're going to stop and do something else. Now we just need to get our spacing back, and this one's easy. We just do our method. Cross over. Switch in the other direction. And now, I am going to see how close I can get to line this up. Yeah, that should be good. So now I can delete this, delete this, delete this. And you know what? Oh, not that. I think we're gonna put in a crossover here. I thought about it. So that piece was just for reference. Now, what I'm actually doing is to make sure trains, if I ever have multiple, maybe I'll invite some of my friends on to play with me, that if I ever have multiple trains, I may need one of them to cross over on the other side of the tracks, maybe just to get out of the way. And so before I even connect that piece, let me walk through what I was just doing. So once we have the piece of track we're building from, it's basically just doing this crossover method twice. We place our switch, place a crossover, place a switch in the other direction, then directly from there, we put our third switch to go back, let's say to the right or to the left, depending on how you did it, crossover, and then the final switch. This ensures it to be parallel and perfectly in line with itself. If I drag this piece out, you can see it's very close, maybe like by a pixel or two, but for our purposes, it's in line. There is a reason for why it was off by just that little amount, but there's no need to go into the science behind it, at least today. So let me just kind of fast forward a little bit and let me get all this settled. So now we have our crossover in place, and our job now is to see if we can connect it over to the sawmill. Now, I'm actually not going to build, I'm going to say, well. I'm going to kind of call it my scaffolding. I just want to see if I can get some kind of piece over here. See a little piece of groundwork right there? So around 225. So we're going to try it. We are going to try it. This is not real. This is just, again, a placeholder. So let's go ahead and see if we can connect it real quickly. So I hope now you can see what I meant with like that little discrepancy. Sometimes it is higher, so we need to be careful about that. But hey, that helps us because we won't be on a grade as long. So that'll be nice. Now here's the weird question. How do I actually, get me there? Let's see what I can do. Alright, so turns out it was like 42.5 meters to get in level with that bridge, at least approximately. I don't know if it was exact. I was just going by visual cues, but to me, I think it was level with the steel bridge. So now, since we're on a level grade, we can just build out till about, we'll do 75, make it somewhat even 3/4. Sounds fine to me. So here comes the fun part. Getting the curve. The steel bridge is only a placeholder. But here's the, I'm going to say the annoying part. Is I think we're going to have to build a giant bridge over here. As in one piece. So what I need to do now is find my anchor points. So like 223, 222. That seems good. We can continue groundwork. I'm thinking about it. To about 50 meters, that's fine. And then we'll do a stone wall for about, let's do 15 this time. Beautiful. What to do here? So there's two things we can do to kind of get this curve. I'll show you. I'm gonna say the most basic one is with this method, the actual offset is 4 meters. So if you want to make a curve that's parallel, it's approximately 4 meters. So if I do a 50-meter segment here, and then that, let's see if I can just get it lined up with the groundwork. Okay, so now I got them roughly parallel with each other, and there's only one way to kind of test this. So here's the other method to get it parallel. Take a switch, connect it, so, and do our crossover method. Now we build, straight, and link it back up there. And let's see if we got it parallel. Oh, so close. That's no biggie. You actually probably just take that stone wall and place it here. Look at that. You don't even notice. You don't even notice. Now, the moment of truth. We got to go back to the other side. So what I did was 222 meters. So from this, wherever we started the curve, we need to do the exact same thing. And we use stone wall and go 222 meters to the right, positive. We'll do 30. Why not? No harm, no foul. And first, okay. 226. Again, it's approximate, so ta-da! Oh no! There we go. We have parallel curves. So here comes the fun part. Let's see if we can do it. Please. We can. Let me get out of the way. Woo! Let's get this ugly steel bridge. Would you look at that? Look how cool. Now we have a giant trestle. Now let's pray this side will be fine. Again, I hope you can tell which bridge I like the most. So you want to get out of the way, connect. Oh, let's go look at it. Woo! Oh, guys, look! Oh my god! Oh, look at that! Whew. I'm actually really happy now. I just want to look at this. Well, we can't be complacent for too long. We got to keep going. Okie doke. So the next step we got to do is just keep building out. Now, we're not going to start a grade just yet. We're actually going to build a dummy piece of track again. Right here. And I'm just going to build shorter segments because I don't think the steel bridge is going to be tall enough to cross this gorge. So, even though the steel bridge is the tallest track in the game, we still got to be careful because it has a limit. It's not perfect. So, welcome to Broken Trackling 101, where we're going to do some very, very sketchy stuff to make this work. These actual, I want to say beams, they have collision, but you can't build a bridge off of them. You have to build a bridge with the center of the track. So what I'm going to do is just build another bridge closer to the ground, but now just straight. So if I find my way back up here to this temporary bridge, we'll see I should be able to place a bridge now. And yep, it's definitely the most realistic thing. Oh, that's great. So if you ever had a difficult bridge placement, you can do stuff like that by placing bridges under bridges or groundwork underneath to make sure the bridge will actually place. Now, what I am doing is trying to see if I keep this at 0%, where am I ending up? So all this is going to be a temporary, very, very temporary track alignment. So let me just speed through this real quickly and let's see where we end up. You know what? I think that's good. And now, finally, now you can see why this route is so good. I did not grade up or down at all. I just built a level track. Now, when it comes to building over here, we'll get to it. in all the fine details. But this is possible, where you can just have a solid 0% route all the way around the valley. But the benefit is how we're going to plan in the future. Now, from here, we can go to the coal mine and the iron mine and the smelter, all from the same track. We don't have to double up on anything. We have just one track, or in our case, we'll have two that will be able to do both. So we're going to keep this here is to kind of trace it, if you will, with our other track. So let me teleport back over there and let's get started. So back where we started, before we even head over all the way over there, we just need to work over here and actually make it look good. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to take that basic steel bridge and kind of trace it and modify it where we need to make it just functional and also just to make it look good. So step 1, building out a piece. Now, don't mind the number, but probably build out there. I think that's fine. And from here, to make it eventually look uniform, I think 15 would be fine. Yeah. So now we can build out our steel bridge. It'll be tall enough to fit over here, so let's do 77. I don't like that, so maybe 76 should be fine. There we go. Okay. So now we gotta do that kind of broken steel bridge thingy-mabobber. English. Yes. Just about here, I think. And this is alignment 81 still. So for our purpose, I'm actually gonna get rid of this steel bridge and just build from our current one. Now sometimes you can just link it from the bottom, but it's not doing it. How unfortunate. Okay, so now we can just build across. Let's do it in 2 segments, I think. Now, if you can't get like good adjustments doing it this way, you can just walk backwards on the bridge. Or just, I'm gonna say walk backwards and get better adjustments. So, ta-da. Now, I placed a 50-meter long bridge that way. It's a little weird, but hey, it works. I'm trying to shoot for this top toe there. So I'm thinking maybe another 50. Okay, there we go. So we have 76, 50, 50. So now I can actually go back with these pieces and fix them. Alright, so it looks like we got 2 parallel bridges. Everything's looking great. We're going to ignore the stuff down there in the bottom, but everything is coming together very nicely. So I know I just said a few minutes ago that you want to build from the inside. However, I think in this case, I'm going to build from the outside. We have plenty of space. As long as they don't make it a stupidly tight curve, I'll be fine. So what I'm actually trying to find is if there's any sweet angle that'll just make me connect right over here smoothly. You know, we're going to stick with it. 210, so be it. 210 it is. Now for this first piece. Yeah, I think that works. Now, since we're really close to the ground, we don't need to do a bridge again. So what I'm actually going to do first is get our spacings. I actually want to make sure this time it is truly parallel. No guessing, no approximation. Okay. There we go. These two are now parallel with each other, and I can get rid of everything else there. So we have our bridge that goes straight across, now curving at 222 or 210 on this side. Now we just gotta fix our transition pieces. So we can actually probably keep just one giant piece of stone wall, which I think I'm going to do now. Let's do 32 meters. Yeah, I think that'll do pretty fine. So again, just because I don't want to do any approximation or mess up the spacings, I'm going to be very cautious and just place switches. So again, 22.2, 22.2, 22.2. Just have that number ingrained in your membrane. So just connected that stone wall to our bridge. Again, everything should be and still is parallel. And what I'm going to do now to kind of save time is I'm going to fast forward pretty quickly through this next segment. So let me get back to you when I am done. And okay, they are done. Now you may notice what it looks like, you know, the straight segments. It's like straight, 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 straight. It's not my favorite, but I'm honestly okay with it. The problem is, since it's such a big spline, the curve isn't the smoothest because it has to draw like little tiny straight pieces. It has to draw little straight pieces for every curve. It's like what looks like a smooth piece of, or a smooth curve, is actually a bunch of little straight pieces. But when you extend the spline out, it's easier to see all of them. So next up on the docket is we still need to build over there to the waterfall. So I don't want to cross over just yet. Delete these pieces, and we're actually going to build out a groundwork. Just straight. So 0 radius, just a nice even piece, 0 degrees. And yeah, we're just going to build it out, see what happens. Probably just saw, but we don't want this groundwork sticking out arbitrarily. So we're going to fix this by doing a shorter piece and then doing stone wall. And then we'll go back to our groundwork. That actually worked out rather well. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you have tracing pieces or temporary pieces, you can just go ahead and delete those. I'm actually kind of surprised the steel bridge extended that far down the first time. Not gonna lie. Okay. So next up is just finding out another curve. I'm just going to draw out one giant piece of spline to see where it curves over. You know, I might even have to go up a little bit, I'm thinking. I think I should, because otherwise it's going to be really close to the ground. Also, I like 360. That's, I think, fine. But we only need to go up like a little bit. So we're gonna draw this out. Let's do 14. I think we can actually level out too. See, we have a little tiny bump. That's 360, so you know what? I'm actually gonna keep it the same angle. Maybe make it. I lied. Just rinse and repeat at this point. Alright. Now this is going to here. Yep. That's too much. That's estimating. Up. Here's the table. Yep. This over. 15. Number. Now we know is awesome. This is just one you. None of just one you. You get strength. Okay, so I just place those two pieces in, and what I can do now is actually just delete these bridges. Let's use a different color. I don't know how many people actually use it, but the old bridge is actually not that bad, I think. Oh, come on. It provides some kind of flavor. Okay, yeah. I like that. So we have a little tiny bump now to raise us a little bit, but I think you can barely tell. We know there's a little bump, but I think other people may not know. Looks like we got like alternating supports. That's cute. Yeah, so I think one thing I forgot to mention probably up till now, is that when it comes to building out like curved segments, is the bigger the radius, the bigger the segments of a curve you can have. You shouldn't just well, I guess you could assume that you need to be even in the same with everything else, but yeah, if it's a shorter, or if it's the tighter radius, the shorter the loop, the better. But if it's a bigger radius, the bigger the segments, the better. I think up until, yeah, we're ever so slightly higher, like a little bit. What we're gonna do is, well, let me explain. So I think even if I just kept it level, it's a little too close to the ground. So I raised it up just a little bit. And what we're going to do now is place crossovers. And so these switches, we're going to say they're official. These are not moving. Sometimes it's just good to make executive decisions. It's like, even myself, I would consider myself indecisive most of the time. But there are times where it comes to be, or where you need to be decisive. Makes things simpler, I admit. We're not here for life lessons, we're here to build track. Back on topic. Okay, so building these crossover, this is real. This is going to stay here. So now what I can do, well, I actually don't like that large amount of groundwork, so we're going to need to fix this. But we did negative 360. We're at 360, so we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to do 360 as our radius. We're going to go 0 for a little bit. I think 64 is fine. And this is kind of, let's say, tedious, but if you really want to make sure your track is super parallel, again, just building these crossovers every now and again. Alright, so let me just speed up this process and let me get back to you when I'm done replacing stuff. Whew. Okay. I think we're really close to being done here. Yeah, let me just extend this little piece out real quickly. And then we actually have to head back to the steel bridge. So let's do this and head back over there. So I'm back by the first steel bridge we placed. And I already went ahead and deleted the, let's say, the 2 steel bridges we put before. Because now I want to focus on this floating bit here. Obviously, if we're trying to be realistic or make it look good, we shouldn't leave it. Now, you could, not saying you shouldn't, but you could, because trees will kind of cover this up. And how many times are you really going to see this? Now, my actually trick to making this look pretty good is using the wall. If we look here, it has an option for rails and then ballast. If I click the ballast option, the rails are removed. So I can actually place just a stone wall with dirt. It's pretty convenient. Now, what I'm actually thinking about doing is, most of these supports are actually in line with each other. If, actually, probably a matter of fact, they are in line with each other since we built it really symmetrical and really even. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this so they're facing long ways across. And my best advice to you is just try your best to visually line it up center. Up, now I messed with the angle, so okay, so it's off by a little bit. 350, that should be good. I hope. Hey, look at that. So this way we have, like, I'm gonna say, a better support to it. And so now all I have to do is just go through and line them up all with the supports. And okay, there we go. I think this steel bridge is done. It looks like it has like little foundation kind of anchor points on it. And yeah, we got no floating bridges no more. Yeah, I think, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Let's go check it out in rows extended and see how we did. You know what? I'm really happy with this. For a while now, I've been planning to do this through, and I'm really, you can't even see the smile on my face, but just to see it come to life makes me really happy. But yeah, let's just kind of admire it. We started by splitting our single track into double track. Got a really nice, beautiful long bridge. It's all level through here. Beautiful steel bridge with nice supports. A second steel bridge that looks very nice. A little variety here. Cool bridges. A slight little grade. And we're over here, ready to head down to the smelter. Now, depending on how long this is running, I'm going to decide whether or not to build to the smelter real quickly, or save it to next time. Yeah, give me a few minutes and I'll be back with my decision. So unfortunately, we're running around the 41-minute mark, and it's running a little longer than I would actually hoped. So we're going to delay going down to the smelter for this time. However, next week on Monday and Thursday, I'll be releasing 2 new videos for Trackling 101. On Monday, we'll be finishing the smelter route and actually building down there behind me. And then on Thursday, we're going to start building to the iron mine. So be ready for that next week. Now, if you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment down below on what you think. Alrighty, everyone. My name's Kiss, and I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.